I know, a little bit different hair. Some of you have been giving me the side eye, like, is that her? Like, she kind of looks like the program. But I've stopped trying to do that to my hair, and I definitely wasn't going to do that down here. As you all know, it is way too humid. So, if you're not excited about being a woman in business after today, something is wrong with you. Because, as we've already heard, it is a great time to be a woman in business. Now, I want to get a read for the room, so let me know, where are my young single ladies? Young single ladies. Right, see? Now, the rest of us don't want to admit it, but we jealous. Yeah, because you have time ahead of you. You're so full of hope, and you should be. You have time. You have so much freedom. You're wasting it, let me tell you right now. But you probably don't have very much cash money, which we understand is a little bit of an issue, right? So you've got some strengths and some disadvantages and advantages. How about those of you who are married or have a partner but no children? Okay, now see, we might actually be most jealous of you because you have someone to watch Netflix with, but can go to the bathroom without being interrupted. Which brings me to my next group, moms. Who's the mom? Let me tell you something. You want something done, you give it to a working mom, okay? Because we don't have time for crap. We don't have time for friendship drama, binge watching, showers. Ain't nobody got time for that. We don't have the time. How about moms with tiny people, toddlers? Okay, I'd like to just donate this time to you as nap time. Just sprawl out, get down, okay? No one's going to judge you. I actually feel like I deserve a round of applause. My daughter, who just turned 4 last week, okay, take that in, turned 4 last week, I just got her to poop in the toilet. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's enough for a mic drop right there, right? All right, so what about you are either getting up there, maybe a little bit in age and single, or you have your children out of the house? The promised land. Because you guys probably have that cash money and you have wisdom. So the rest of us are starting to get some experience, but what you guys have is wisdom, but you probably have some stress about the amount of time you've already spent and how much time you have left, right? Every single one of you in this room has advantages and disadvantages on wherever you're trying to go, no matter what stage you are in life. And as I already said, because you're a woman in business, you're going to crush it. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to go how to go further faster and have more fun. So who am I to tell you about this? As your program says, I'm the creator and host of The Pursuit, which is a traveling talk show on success that's just 2.5 years old. And I have interviewed Rachel Ray in her dressing room. I've been in, you guys, everywhere. Even tour buses. The Property Brothers, Al Roker, Dave Ramsey, Larry King in his home in Beverly Hills. It's been crazy. And I went from zero, like starting this thing in Oklahoma City, to Tony Robbins in 18 months. Okay, it has been nuts. Like, is this even my life? And the odds are against me because, as I said, I am a mom and I'm married to my high school sweetheart and we live in Oklahoma City. So that's why it's a traveling talk show. Because as you can imagine, it's not really a thriving metropolis of celebrities there. Okay, and also I'm trying to break into TV and I didn't start in the industry as a fetus. Okay, and I don't live in New York or LA. So the odds were seriously against me. Before starting the show, to give you a little bit more context, I had worked my way up in an advertising career, and then I was approached by a froyo chain to go on and be their agency of record. So I was able to open up my own shop, and they had over 200 stores across the U.S., and I was doing all of their branding and marketing myself with an intern, which was insane. And this was before I turned 30. Then on my 30th birthday, I released my first book, Go Solo, which became an Amazon #1 bestseller, about how I did that. How did I work my way up in my career and then go out and launch my own business? So hopefully that's enough to kind of show you that I like to go pretty far, pretty fast, and I am living my dream. So let me tell you, I am having a lot of fun. Now, I like to use a metaphor, and hopefully I know all of you guys can finish this sentence because it's a really popular quote, right? Ships are safer in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for. Exactly. Y'all need to step up your quote game. Okay. So what I want to talk to you about today is getting really far out, okay? Because you have big dreams and big hopes and big goals, and we want to get to the land of milk and honey and flexible schedules and hopefully a full-time housekeeper, right? Like that is the goal. So to really get out there far, the first thing you have to figure out is, are you in the right ship? What I mean by that is, are you really functioning in your gifts and talents? The first thing you have to do is figure out, like, whoa. Am I really in the right spot here? When I got out of high school, and even when I went into college, I thought I was going to be the next Beyonce. I was going to be a singer-songwriter. And to my poor parents, that's what a music degree looks like. Like, she cannot survive in the ocean on that dinghy, right? So don't worry, I was a responsible daughter and student, so I got a fallback degree in case music didn't work out in, wait for it, art. Feel sorry for my parents for a second. Okay, so then what's strange about that is obviously you guys can kind of tell, like, I love to be in front of people. If I've seen you today, I've been like, hi! You know, like, I want to be up on stage performing, both, you know, encouraging, inspiring, and all that. And then I got trained in a degree where you sit and design at a computer by yourself all day, okay? That was not gonna be my dream boat. What you have to think about is, what is it really gonna be like in that boat? I love epic stories. I love Game of Thrones. I love Lord of the Rings, you know, Star Wars, anything big. So we started watching Vikings, okay? This is Ragnar Lothbrok. He's the leader, and he's hot. And this is at the beginning when he's like, guys, we're going to cross the ocean, and it's going to be amazing. No one's ever done it. And everyone's like, yeah. Next episode, what have we done? This is not okay. Look at these boats. They crossed the ocean in that. So what you have to figure out is this really what I want? We're so focused on the destination, whatever this dream is we haven't asked ourselves, do we really want to do whatever that's going to take all day, every day? And I know it's hard, and it may require you to stop and change directions like I did multiple times, but how much better is that than to go 30 years and end up somewhere you don't love? You didn't really love the journey. You don't even like where you end up. That's terrible, right? I want to save you from that. One of the people I interviewed, her name is Gretchen Rubin. She's a best-selling author. I think she's had 4 New York Times bestsellers now. And when I interviewed her, she told me, one way to figure things out for yourself is to ask yourself, whom do you envy? Isn't that good? I was like, dang. Who are you jealous of? Because that's an indicator of what you really want. She was already really successful in her law career, and she was jealous of her friends who were writers. So she gave it all up, and she changed directions. So your task, you guys, especially you younger ones, is to really ask yourself, when you get home, you're all inspired from this conference, so I have some exercises for you, and one of them is to really sit and think, am I functioning in my gifts? And I did this. I'm not practicing something I didn't preach, because after my book came out and the Froyo company was sold, I had to ask myself, okay, do I want to keep consulting, or do I want to take a riskier move and start speaking? And I sat there, I made a list of my strengths and weaknesses and what I was most excited about and who I wanted to talk to. So this is real. This is a real exercise for you guys. Okay, so the first thing to go further, ask yourself, am I in the right ship? The next thing, pick a destination and get moving. Everyone I interview, it's crazy. If you look at all the interviews, they make a decision and they get moving, and they make a decision and they get moving. Now, people get hung up here because none of us know what the heck we want. Really, like, we really don't. We think we do, we try, and you're like, I tried this, I don't know. I'm not sure if I want to do this. I tried this and then I failed. And all that is fine, because you're gonna have course corrections. And people in personal development like to talk about, like, you know, big life goals and your 5-year plan. I have trouble planning the 2 hours between daycare drop-off and lunch. Legit, I do have trouble planning that. So I don't think that is realistic for everyone, for me to stand here and tell you, like, make a life plan. But the straighter your line is, the better it's going to be for you. So that's why exercise number 1 was important. Okay? So for me, this is the straight line I'm headed towards. I want to be the Jimmy Fallon of entrepreneurship. I used to say Ellen, but Ellen doesn't sing with her guests, and he does, and I want to do that. I want to have a legit talk show, you guys, on either Netflix or Hulu or ABC or NBC or some of the, a big distribution network. And I want to inspire people and encourage people and do great interviews and make them, have a viewer watch my show and then feel encouraged and inspired, like they can go out there and pursue their dreams. And also laugh and have sketches and all of that. That's what I want. So a couple years ago, that's what I decided. And it would not have been as successful in the last couple years if then I had been like, I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going to be a fiction author. And we all know those people, right, who do that. And I'm going to get to them in a second. But for me, it is helpful to know that that's where I want to go. Now, there's little tiny course corrections along the way. I change my bio like every 2 weeks on Twitter and Instagram. Like I change who I am and what I'm all about and all that. Like little tiny course corrections are okay. So don't feel like you're making a decision for the rest of your life. You're setting a target. I'm talking about the next income bump, the next promotion you want to get, the next sales target you want to reach, something to move towards. Make some decision and take some action, because the straighter you can go, doing exercise 1 and knowing where you're going, making a decision and going, the better your chances. Now, I do want to say something really important here. Not everyone is called to do that. Some people are called to be explorers. I don't know why she's wearing sequins. I've been on a safari. No one was wearing sequins. But she is an explorer. And if you are an explorer, let yourself be that. We know that person who 1 week she's a health coach, the next week she's a full-time travel blogger, then 2 years later she's doing some MLM, but she might be making bank at all those things and loving her life. I think, especially the older you are in this room, you have even more of that programming of like you pick a career, you go, you do it. But that's not the case for everyone. Some people just really want to dabble. But here's the thing. If this is you, that's totally fine, and let yourself do that, and understand that dabblers don't typically dominate. You're not going to let yourself explore all these things and become the absolute best in the industry. That's not going to happen, okay? Like if you think of an Olympian or an NBA player or somebody who reaches the pinnacle, and you think about that in regards to whatever your hopes and dreams are, like those players stick with it forever. There's not much exploring of other hobbies and interests, right? But not everybody wants NBA level success. But you have to figure it out for you. And if you're an explorer, girl, let yourself explore. Okay, quit putting that constraint on yourself. And then again, start making decisions and trying things. That's also the only way you're going to get to your dream boat. Like I feel like I'm on a yacht now, but I had to go through not wanting to do music because I did not want to sing in coffee shops and bars for 10 years. I just wanted to get to the end, but that's what that boat would have really been like. So I had to stop that. Then I was doing graphic design, and that was not enough for me. So then I worked my way up, and I start doing presentations, and I start doing marketing plans. Then I start my own business, and finally I'm where I am now. So you may not be an explorer. You may just still be trying to find your path. Either way, make a decision, even if it's scary, and start taking some action, okay? So the last thing for going further is to set your target farther away. And by that, I mean dream bigger. One of the people I interviewed is actually based in Miami. His name is Grant Cardone. He's a little bit crazy. He's a crazy character. And his whole thing for success is 10x. So right now, think of a goal that you have in your life, any area of life, and he would tell you to multiply that by 10. So like you want to make 10 grand by X date, he would say, make that 100, which is ridiculous and scary and terrifying, right? And I know what you're thinking which is, but what if I set bigger, more aggressive goals and then I fail? Right. So I have 2 answers to that question. Because before I get to the answers, the 10x thing is real. So I don't want you to hear me say like, oh, just imagine 10xing. Because we all know people who in real life, one person plugs their product and they sell out the next day. Or one person gets a share from somebody, their video goes viral, their life has changed. These things happen. 10x does happen. So I don't want you to just like, la-di-da, I'm going to 10x my goals. I want you to really think about it. And when you really think about it, that's the first answer to the failure question. You become equipped for what 10x would take. So you start to prepare differently. You start to plan, your day and your week and your month differently for that much, much bigger goal. You're going to have different types of strategies. You might hire more crew because you have to staff up for that kind of growth. And you have to do different things to your ship to be able to move that fast and make quick decisions and do whatever 10x looks like for you. So part of that is you're not going to fail because you're going to take it seriously and you're going to really act like someone who's about to achieve that 10x goal. And the odds are that you're going to get to 2x, 3x, or 4x. I'm sorry, is that not better than 1x? Absolutely, right? Here's the second answer to what if I make a bigger goal and I fail. Listen, y'all, there's going to be all those people in your life, you can think of them right now, who are on the shore with their Mai Tai waiting for you to fail.
just watching. Like, you have a cousin, an aunt, that one person from high school. I know who they are in my life. Like, Kelsey is going to post on Facebook any day that she quit because it's too hard and she's traveling too much for someone who's a mom, and I just know any minute she's going to quit. Those people are out there, right? You need to be building and working on something worth failing for. I am willing to go down in a giant public ball of flames because it's worth it. I'm helping break down success for the everyday person. I'm helping people go further, faster, and have more fun, and start businesses, and really figure out what are my dreams? How can I make them happen? Like, it's worth it. So if you are really deciding, if you're going through these exercises and you're deciding, what is it that I am meant to do, and you're doing it, it is worth failing. So making that bigger goal is really just, and possibly failing at it, is not that big of a deal. So build something worth sinking for. Really, when you start talking to successful people, at some time in their life, they have that pivot where it's no longer about money. Everyone kind of starts with, it's about surviving, paying my bills, or then it's about freedom and flexibility of schedule. And then it becomes, I need to help people. I need to do whatever my service is, or whatever my gifts are, or share whatever my message is. So that's the second part, is quit being scared of making giant goals and failing at them, because whatever these goals are worth it in a deep and meaningful way. All right, so that's how to go out further. Now, I want you to go home. This is the exercise, the last exercise for that part, and really look at your goals. You probably have them written somewhere. Maybe they're on your phone or your vision board, and really think, how can I 10x this? I know it's going to be scary. You're going to get sweaty and uncomfortable. I want you to do it anyway. How can I 10x this? And another way to 10x something is to leave the goals the same and to 10x how fast you want to get there. So accelerate your timeline. Instead of a year, you're going to do it in 6 months, right? That's scary too, and it's a great exercise in making yourself expand quickly. So let's talk about going faster. I'm going to give you a little bit of a map now with a little bit more tactics. So the first thing to going faster is to create your own opportunities. I know you're like, we learned that in high school. Thank you, motivational speaker lady. You've heard that forever, right? This is not a new concept, but I do have an exercise for you, is to ask yourself, where in my career or my business am I waiting on something? I'm waiting on something to come in. I'm waiting on someone to call me back. I'm waiting on someone to make a connection. I'm waiting on someone to open a door or call so-and-so or do this. I'm waiting to hear back from an audition or an application or something I submitted. Somewhere in all of that is probably where you can create an opportunity. So for me, I was never going to, I realized this dream of this talk show because my book was successful. I was traveling to speak anyway, and I was like, if I'm traveling, how hard would it be to just start interviewing people and start a traveling talk show? Very hard. It's very hard. I was dumb. I was a dumb person. And I'm grateful for that because it happened to work out. But it's a lot of work, okay? But the thing about creating your own opportunities is that I never could have, at that moment, decided, okay, I'm going to start as a news anchor locally and work my way up. I would have been up against 22-year-olds, size -1, had just got out of journalism school, or on the acting side, it would be even younger and even thinner, and they would be prettier, and they would have acting classes and all this stuff. So I went with YouTube, right? And I just created a show because I could, which is weird. And the thing about creating your own opportunities is let me give you another example. When I got my last job before going to start my own business at the advertising agency, I was hired as an entry-level graphic designer. And in week 1, when you sit around doing nothing, I was just kind of learning, as much as I could and reading and looking at just kind of doing an audit of the new place where I was working. And I realized, this is dating myself a little bit, but they didn't have a social media strategy yet. They were a marketing agency with no social media anything. They had no guidelines. They weren't really using their platforms very well. So I wrote a plan, and I just gave it to my boss. I was like, hey, I realized you didn't have any kind of social media plan, and I had been doing that before, so here is one. And on week 2, I got promoted. Okay, that is not rocket science, right? If any of you in here probably could have done that at the same time, audit, what's missing here, how can I fill in some gaps, right? So part of creating your own opportunities is getting a little scrappy, meaning maybe doing work no one else wants to do, or maybe putting in a little more hours or taking on more responsibility before you get paid for it, because that promotion on week 2 did not come with a raise. Just came with a title change, but I knew it would lead to, a raise sooner and all those types of things. The other thing is resourcefulness. I cannot overstate this. The people that I interview, you guys, are so resourceful. Like, they just find a way. Kind of like I gave the YouTube example. Well, I want to break that down even more. So my pilot episode for YouTube, I shot on a GoPro. This is locally in Oklahoma City. That's Scott Williams. He's a local influencer there. And he had like the biggest Twitter following I could find from anyone that I had connections to locally. And so I'm just like, will you do this? And he was like, okay. And I told him it was a pilot, meaning it could go nowhere, but we knew each other. He was like, sure. So we're sitting there in the foyer of his office because I didn't own any lights at the time. And you see the fisheye effect, right? It's shot on a GoPro. I didn't have any cameras. And so he shows up a little bit late. We start in the afternoon. It goes really long because I have no idea what I'm doing. And you guys, the lights, AKA the sun outside, starts to go down. Like, as you watch my pilot episode, which is still up on YouTube, you can go and watch it. It just gets darker and darker and darker. And this is mortifying because he starts to disappear. How terrible is that? I need to send him a gift and just be like, I'm sorry because you disappeared at the end of the episode. But this, guys, was enough. This pilot got me interviews with Donald Miller and Crystal Payne and Jeremy Cowart, who are 3 very big influencers in Nashville. I chose Nashville because that's where my sister lives, and I could stay with her for free, I could drive there, and I could borrow her DSLR. Okay? This is scrappy resourcefulness. It did not feel cool. I was not like, this is awesome, I'm doing a traveling talk show. It was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? You know? It was totally winging it all the time. So step 1 to going faster is to figure out a way to create opportunities. When you go home, an action item for you is to ask yourself, where am I waiting? What am I waiting on? Who am I waiting on? What am I waiting for? How can I create that myself? Some sort of shortcut workaround. So, step 2 to going faster is to double down and level up, which I realize is actually 2 points in one, but just give me some grace. So, double down and level up. Guys, my whole shebang really is momentum. That's what this whole talk is about. That's what we're talking about. That is my secret sauce. That is my sweet spot. Momentum is precious. Anybody who's had it in here, you know, it takes so long to get it, and it's so hard to keep it. I want you to say, momentum is... No, you need more gusto. Momentum is... It is, you guys, it's everything, okay? So what you have to do is the second you get momentum, you have to double down. What does this mean? I want to give you an example for you. Let's say you're here today and you're like, that looks like so much fun. I want to be a speaker. I want to start public speaking, which could be great whether you're an entrepreneur or in your career. It can really help, your personal brand and lead to all kinds of opportunities. So you decide, I want to start speaking. So you talk to the people that you get resourceful and scrappy, and you're talking to everyone in your network about exactly what you want, which is your first speaking gig, and you get one. This is the beginning. Amazing. Great job. Huzzah. You have a speaking gig. Now, here's what a lot of people do is they focus really hard on I'm going to give the best speech there ever was, which is good. You should do that. But they forget about how to maximize that opportunity for the next speaking gig. This is a great example of you can't work just in your business and you can't work just on your business or career. So you can't be just doing the work, and you can't just be all promotion and no work, because those people, you can spot them a mile away. But you have to be doing both. Now, the example, I'm going to give you the tactics here, is that if it's your first speaking gig, you have a friend come with you. I actually have a friend today. Everyone say, hi, Abby. That friend's job is to take pictures and videos for you, okay? They take pictures and videos of how awesome it is. They're taking videos from all different angles. Okay, side note, when you get your first speaking gig, because I tend to look like I'm really gesticular and expressive, I'm kind of like a clown and a gorilla mixture. And so wherever Sean is, he's the photographer today, I guarantee you need to plan some spaces in your speech where you're like this. Right? Sean, are you getting it? Okay. You're like... You have to, or else all of your pictures, it's bad. It's bad, you guys. It's bad. Okay, so that's just a side note. So you get this speaking gig, you have your friend come with you to take photos and videos, then the next day, you grab all, and you're engaged on Twitter, you're grabbing all the tweets, everyone who said you were great, you're copying and pasting, you're taking screenshots. That same next day, you reach out to the event organizer, you say, hey, I love the event, could I get a testimonial for you, just a sentence that I did a good job. Now you put that all up, and we're still on the very next day, put that all up on your website. add a speaking page, put all that up there, make up some topics you think you could talk about. The next day, you email for your next speaking gig. You pitch your next speaking gig. That is doubling down. It's both working in and on as much as you can contain, because I know we're all busy and we're stressed, but I'm telling you, this is the difference. This is the difference between people who are crushing it and people who are doing pretty good, is that they get momentum, they double down. Squeeze every last bit of juice out of any opportunity you have, okay? So the next part of this is to level up. So what does that mean? Well, in the example that I just gave you, when you pitched, let's say your first speaking gig was a great event with 25 people, your next pitch needs to be to some event with 50 people. That's leveling up. The second, at the beginning, the first year, the second I got a yes from somebody, I followed up on all my emails that were out and let them know so-and-so has been added to our roster. I didn't have a roster. I was still winging it. But I'm like, I hope this means that you will be added too. The second I got a yes, I followed up with everybody. So what happens is a lot of people get to that next level. You finally get a promotion. You finally get the kind of speaking gigs you want, or podcast interviews, or guest post opportunities if you're a writer, that sort of thing. And then they stay there for months or years. And this is just something I don't get. It just doesn't compute with me. Now, obviously, you might not be ready yet, okay? So I understand that there's a little bit of preparation if you feel like you're not ready. But most of the time, you guys, we're just scared and we're just holding ourselves back. So that's why I say the second you can, try and level up to the next thing. It's like there's this mentality that we've gotten throughout life, like, you made it a mile, you should be grateful. You made it that whole mile, and a lot of people don't, and you should really just enjoy it. It's as if there isn't a whole ocean of opportunity out there for us, as if we've forgotten how to row our heinies off. There is so much available, you guys. There's no reason to stay at the same level for a long time. So if you're not ready to push yourself, then you need to ask yourself, am I ready? Like every week. Be pushing yourself, like, do more preparation. If it really makes you uncomfortable, like, well, Kelsey, I'm not ready to level up on day 2. Okay, how about day 8? How about day 10? Okay, pushing yourself to level up because momentum is precious. Okay, so the third part to going really far, really fast is to get your shields up. Now, I've talked about this already within the speech so far, but I want to just really name it. It's resilience. Guys, we have to become the most resilient, badass mother you-know-whats that we know. I'm serious. If you talk to successful people, they're like, I just get punched in the face all day. Like, that is success. It's basically getting punched in the gut over and over and over again. Me personally, I get rejected every day. Like every morning, ding, ding, ding. I don't want to be on your show. You're not ready for an agent. I don't want to have you on my podcast. Whatever. All these different things. Rejection, rejection, rejection. And my question to you is, how often are you getting rejected? Because if you're not getting rejected very often, you've probably stopped rowing. Like, why? Remember, we have the whole ocean, right? So you've got to work on being resilient. And one of the ways you want to be resilient is to follow up. Because a lot of times, guys, this is what it looks like in career. So between you and someone else who's going to get that job, or who might get the client that you want, or whatever you're pitching for, it's going to come down to that person who remembered to follow up. So my interviews with Dave Ramsey and Rachel Ray, I followed up for 18 months. How many people would have given up on month 3, month 6, month 9, month 12? 18 months. Did it feel stupid? Yes. It wasn't every week. It wasn't every day. It was strategic as I saw them like in the news or whatever, where I felt I had a legitimate reason to follow up with them. But that is part of being resilient, is follow up. And people who have shows often ask me, like, what's your tip for getting better guests? Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, death. Like, you follow up until you're dead. That is the key. Okay, so that's part of resilience, is following up. I also want to say, all of this sounds like, oh man, I just feel like I'm going to have so much rejection, right? And that's a real fear, and it takes getting used to. I remember at the beginning, every time I got a rejection, it was like 3 days I was out. I was like, this is it. I'm done. Everybody hates me and I suck. right? Then the more rejections come in, it's like a day. Then now it's like 30 seconds, depending on how much I really wanted that guest. Sometimes we're talking about 5 minutes or 20 minutes, and then I'm bouncing back to work. But sometimes, you guys, you get a yes, which is why I'm so passionate about leveling up. So for me, I reached out to Tyler Perry's people, and they gave me a maybe, which in Kelsey speak, that means they write back and they're like, tell me more, we're interested, this could be a fit. So they never actually say the word maybe. And the second that happened, I reached out to Success Magazine and Entrepreneur Magazine. I also now write for Huffington Post and a couple other websites. And I just said hey, what if I gave you a clip of my interviews and I write an article for all my interviews so that these guests get bigger distribution? And they're like, okay. All right, why not? Let's try it. And now Entrepreneur has an entire video network, and I was one of the very first few that did that. But guys, overnight, I went from a girl with a struggling YouTube channel who had just started to someone who was writing for legitimate websites. All I did was email them, and I said, hey, Tyler Perry is interested in a bunch of other big guests that I really think would turn into yeses if we partnered together. Was it scary? Absolutely. Is there a greater chance of face planting? Absolutely. But they said yes. And the very next, I think it was the very next week, I got yeses from the Property Brothers and Seth Godin. It was insane. So you have to get resilient. You have to be willing to be resourceful, take rejection. And here's something really interesting that I've learned about all of this too, because some of you, people come up to me and they'll be like, oh my gosh, you are just so confident. She's 100% confident. She's courage with clothes on, right? Some people are thinking that, which is absolutely not true. I'll tell you, if you come up and talk to me and you have sleek hair or you're really thin, I'm probably intimidated. Also, in college, I had a laser tag incident and one of my front teeth is fake, and I'm always self-conscious about that. Also, I'm going into television and everyone I interview is a size 0. Okay, all the women. The men are not, thank goodness, that would be weird. But all the women I interview are this big, and I sit next to them and I feel like a linebacker. I really do, and I just have to get over it because it's not about me, it's about the guest, and then it's not even about the guest, it's about the audience, right? But here's what I've learned about courage. That is not me, in case you thought it was. Courage is a muscle, which means we can work it out. I'll give you an example. So, I was pitching Dolly Parton, and she is up there with Oprah. She's just the epitome, right? So I'm like, oh my God, and I press send on the email, and I'm so nerve-wracked, I can't even. So I take a breath, and then I look down at the other pitches I'm sending out, and it's no big deal. I just pitched Dolly Parton, all these New York Times bestselling authors and these other actors and all these people. It's nada. Which is crazy, because what happens is you keep pushing yourself and putting in these reps at the gym and working up your courage muscle, and suddenly you're not really scared of anything anymore. I'm scared of things, especially things that matter, like something with family or, if my whole entire channel were to get shut down or crazy stuff like that. But a lot of the small day-to-day rejection and weird things like your website crashes one day and all of this stuff that we all know is going to happen, right? All these inevitable small things, suddenly it's bring it. Because you've been putting those reps in at the gym. Every time, this is crazy, I want you to visualize it. Every time you push yourself outside of your comfort zone, you make the zone bigger. That is powerful, people. That is power. To just really get to where you're good, I'm good. You're good with all of it? That's crazy. All right, so let's recap our faster points, okay? So you're going to create your own opportunities. You're going to double down and level up, and then you're going to become the most resilient person you know. You're going to just go out there. You're going to apply for things. I know when you get home, there's probably something outstanding, an email you could send, someone you could say yes to, something you could submit to or audition for, or, you know it. You probably have it in your head right now, I should really send in that application. Those things exist. Work your courage muscle, you guys. So the last thing we're going to talk about is how to have more fun. Step 1 to having more fun when it comes to living your dream, which is, I'm going to equate this with finally arriving at paradise, is adjusting our expectations a little bit. Because this is powerful too. Listen to me. All work has grunt work, so why not do work you love? When I sat down with Tony Robbins, That guy manages 18 businesses. He still has stuff he doesn't want to do. And I get worried that I have all these videos out now and all this motivational content, and I love it because people are really listening to it, they're absorbing it, they're going out, they're pursuing their dreams, and I worry that they don't realize there's a lot of adulting. Like you have to call and get business insurance, and you have to make a budget and all this stuff that is not this all day, every day, right? So whatever your dream career, your dream business that you're building, all of those things, realize that it too comes with grunt work. Like any successful person I've ever talked to, it's not like they have nothing to complain about. That's just not realistic. But again, if anything you're going to do in life comes with grunt work, why not do work you absolutely love, right? Now, step 2 to going to having more fun is to go all in on yourself, which is nerve-wracking because we're all insecure, right? And she talked earlier about imposter syndrome, which is so real, and we all have it. But you have to go all in on your strengths. A lot of the successful people I talk to just block out their weaknesses. They really do. They just focus in on what makes them awesome, and they do what they're best at. What's crazy is when you start to let go of all the things that you're not, you become happier and more content and also more gifted in the things that you are, which is kind of a crazy, unexpected thing. When you let go of the things that you're not, you actually become more gifted in the things that you are because you're not spending precious time trying to pull these strengths up. And I'm not saying don't work on any of your strengths. I mean weaknesses, not working on pulling up any of your weaknesses. I'm saying be very choosy. Make sure that that weakness is really worth your time and energy and everything that makes you awesome, okay? And here's another key. All of us in here are probably problem solvers. Guys, problem solvers see problems. She had that list earlier of all the things that we're not. That's because we're problem solvers. So we look at ourselves and we're like, I'm not this, I'm not that. Me as a host, everyone else who has a show at my level is already a millionaire. They're already just rolling around in cash, is how I imagine it, because they were successful entrepreneurs already, and then they decided to start a show. For me, the show is the product. The show is my dream. It's the whole kit and caboodle. I put all my consulting on hold. We have an advertising model. It's it for me. So I would sit and think all the things I'm not. But I am funny. And I am able to ask questions from the trenches, which people really love because most of my viewers are in the trenches too, and they can relate. And I am other things. Those are 3 words that will change your life, but I am. Focus on your strengths. Every time you start to list all the things you're not, guys, in the mompreneur space, everyone is really pretty, mostly white Instagram profiles, really pretty. And they're Pinterest moms, and I'm Amazon Prime mom. That is just not me. And I'm also not the successful hosts I sit down with. You have to focus on what you are, but I am. Now, I also have a note here when it comes to marketing. I realize there's all these marketing tactics, and we want to grow our career and our business, so we've done all of the free trainings. We've subscribed to everyone. We've watched all the free videos. We're on all the email lists, and our news feed is filled with free training, do this, you'll be more productive, you'll make millions of dollars, all this stuff. And then we wonder why a few months later we have no idea what to do next. Because every influencer has their own platform that they recommend and their own, things. So if you get really frustrated and flummoxed under pressure, please stop live streaming. It's awkward for everyone. Just find a different outlet. Record video instead of doing it live. And if you don't like writing, quit trying to make yourself do a blog to grow your career and your business. It's not going to work. So with marketing, I actually have some strategies, a list of things on how to take one thing you're really good at marketing and make it many things, but I don't have time to talk about that today. So at the end, I have a URL for you to sign up for the notes to my talk, and I'll go into that. I don't have time to go into it today, but I want to tell you that the unfollow button is your friend. Anyone you're jealous of, anyone who stresses you out, anyone who who has one too many webinars and you really want to click it and you really want to buy their program and you're really, really tempted, the unfollow button is your friend. Let them go, okay? The last thing to having fun along the journey, and this is why I struggle with point 3 the most, is to, look up and enjoy the scenery every so often. This is me. I'm going to beat everyone. Eat my dust, y'all. I am the winner. That's me. That's why I struggle with this, because I realized what do goal-oriented people do once they achieve a goal? they set a new goal. And then they set a new goal. And like happiness is always out there. You're never going to be happy that way. I asked Barbara Corcoran this question. So I was like, Barbara, if you're so driven all the time, do you deal with never being really content or happy? And she was like, you know what? Yes, I did have to deal with that. It was a breath of fresh air for someone to talk about this because goal-oriented people have trouble finding happiness. And the way I've learned, this is also the answer to the question, what surprises me most in these 60-plus interviews. So far, they are total net worth of over $1 billion. They have tens of millions of online followers. They've written over 20 New York Times bestselling books. Like, these people are amazing. And the most surprising tactic that I did not expect was a gractus. That's my term for gratitude practice. And you guys have heard a lot about gratitude already, but I would challenge you to make a daily practice. I did not expect this. Like they journal every morning, or they say something out loud at morning and nighttime, or they put something in a jar at the end of the day, and then at the end of the year, they read all their one-liners out of the jar. It's powerful. It's life-changing. It is serious. And if you are a goer and a doer like me, you're not going to get where you want to go and actually enjoy it and like be a loving, happy person to your family and everyone around you if you don't figure this out. How to stop, be present, look at the sunrise, enjoy life a little bit. All right, so the very last thing I have to say applies to everything I've said so far, and it is absolutely 100% the most important. You cannot get far, fast, and have fun if the vessel is sinking. We are the vessel, okay? We focus so much on the message and the mission and the work and the vision and who we serve and how we serve them, and we are the one doing it all, guys, and if you are sinking, you're not going to make it. I am a recovering, high-functioning alcoholic. And if I had not gotten sober, none of this would have happened. In fact, yesterday was my 3-year soberversary. I know there's someone in here, and here's the thing. Think about it with the boat, okay? I loved Jesus, I loved my family, I loved my work, and I really loved wine. And like, imagine the boat is full of cartons of wine. There's no way it's going to go fast. Like, it's just going to sink. There's no way. And this was a secret. A lot of people in my life had no idea. I was a high-functioning, completely dysfunctional person, and there's probably one of you in here, and that's why I bring this up every time, because you have something weighing you down. It's an affair. It's an eating disorder. It's a secret depression. It's a debilitating anxiety that you're keeping from everyone. Now, some of you may not. You may not have something, or you may have already dealt with it. And what's great about that is, look at what I've done in 3 years since getting sober, and guys, I'm a drunk. Like, if you don't have all of that weight, amazing, don't waste it. But if you do, you've got to get help. I was at a conference, and it was a speaker kind of like this. They weren't talking about this, but it just really hit me. And I went home from that conference, and I called my parents, and I was like, I have a problem. And it was scary and terrifying, and what's great is everyone who loves you comes and takes the weight out the boat. They each come, everybody who loves you comes, and they take a carton. And suddenly you're so much lighter. Then you're like, I'm going lightning speed, everybody watch out. It's incredible. So if that's you today, you have got to talk to someone. Just when you get home, or on your way, you leave today, step out, go now, and just text them and be like, I have to tell you something, okay? All right, so you're going to make sure you take care of your vessel, right? And then let's recap all the things, all right? So let me tell you, this is the URL for the notes. So we're going to, what does this say? I can't read my notes, guys. Oh yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we're in the right boat. Then we're going to pick a destination and get moving. Make some sort of decision, right? Then you're going to move that destination 10 times further away. Make it bigger, dream bigger. Then you're going to create your own opportunities, somehow, find a way. Then you're going to double down and level up. Then you're going to become the most resilient person you know. You're going to put out the pitches. You're going to take the rejection because it's worth it, right? We've decided we're doing work worth failing for. Then you're going to adjust your expectations a little bit. You're going to go all in on yourself, and you're going to find a way. Let me tell you, I know I said it already, but for me, like right now, we're working on getting corporate sponsorships for the channel. And so I'm already in January. Like that's where I'm living. Guys, I would miss the end of summer and Sooner football and pumpkin spice everywhere. I would miss all all of that. So you've got to find a way to get present and enjoy it, and you've got to take care of the vessel. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to see what you do with your pursuit.